One, we're live.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 278 of the Co-op Podcast. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Mr. Swaby?
It's going good, and it's a pleasure to be here on this fine Sunday. How are you, Rich?
I'm doing pretty good. I've had a very busy week. I'll speak a little bit about that later, but yes, also very glad to be here, getting ready for Christmas, as it's not really that much long now until that holiday comes. So looking forward to that. Um,
Yeah,
we're
it's
also
snuggling
joined.
up on us.
Oh yeah, well yeah, it snuck up on us, and this year pretty much flew by. So um, I can only imagine how much faster everything else is going to pass by. So we'll see. We're also joined by Mr. Edward Velasquez. How's it going, Edward?
What's going on? I'm coming to you live from my job. I'm like in a little office right now, hiding out. I'm trying to be consistent on the co-op. I want to give the listeners an unbiased opinion.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean, but I say this with all due respect. Do not get yourself fired, because yeah, the coalition will not be held responsible for anything that happens at that job.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good.
So, how are the Microsoft offices today?
It's cool, man. It's just green everywhere.
Cool.
Green for money, because they made a lot of money on Game Pass and Xbox Live this year. So, all right, so there of course, as everybody knows, there wasn't too much news that happened this week, but we are going to talk about a few things. But before we get into that, we're going to let you all know what we have been playing. So, Edward, I'm going to go to you first. How about you let us know what you've been playing?
All right, there's two things I've been playing. I'm gonna get the smaller one out the way real quick. I haven't played much of it, but I tried out that Fortune Island for Forza Horizon 4. Um, and pretty much what they added was cars and pretty much an entire new island to race around. And I've spent like 3 hours on it, and I love Forza Horizon 4, so I'm gonna probably get back into it. Like I've poured at least 60 something hours from what I last checked on that game. So I've definitely been playing it. But that DLC is pretty cool. I mean, like I said, you have a new island, you have a bunch of new races. Um, like they really have a lot of content within that DLC. Um, a whole new area. The weather effects in that area are crazy. Like you get thunderstorms and lightning strikes, and you get to see the northern lights and all types of shit. Forza is a beautiful game. So I mean, they kind of continue that with this one. Like everything about Fortune Island's gorgeous, and I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. If you like Forza Horizon, you're gonna like this DLC. Like they added a bunch of stuff that a Forza fan would enjoy.
It sounds good. I definitely need to get into that. I've only really downloaded that because I was away on a little quick trip, but yeah, I definitely got to play that.
Check it out, man. That's good. And then finally, the next game I've been playing pretty much for 2 months now, trying to beat it, and I finally beat it. Red Dead Redemption 2. And I guess I was on the podcast last week and I kind of mentioned, like, oh man, I'm waiting for this shit to end already. Like, I kind of got to that point with Red Dead. I don't know how many hours I've spent on that game, but I've spent a lot. So at that point, I was just ready, like, okay, man, I just want to get to it. Well, I finally beat it. The final chapter, that is. I have not done the epilogue. I've done one mission in the epilogue. But for the people who have beaten Red Dead Redemption, they would agree that I pretty much beat the game, like the main story. Well, as far as damn, never mind. But yeah, I've beat the main story, and the ending to this game has affected me emotionally. Like, I can't give away spoilers. I told Gary that we should probably do like a spoiler-free Red Dead Redemption discussion. We could probably get somebody, I don't know who else beat the game, but I would invite them to come talk to us about it because there's a lot to dive into as far as this ending. Like, I haven't enjoyed an ending for a game since probably BioShock Infinite. Like, this one has left me like just thinking about it. And after I beat it, you kind of forget everything that happens in a story uh, of this magnitude. Where I don't know how many playthroughs I had with Red Dead to finally complete it, but it's a lot, and sometimes you might miss out on stuff. So I watched a recap video on YouTube, just trying to recap everything. And to be honest, I really don't recall much of the story in Red Dead Redemption 1. I just remember like, that ending scene, but I didn't remember all of the details. Like I didn't know I literally forgot that Dutch was in Red Dead Redemption 1. And I forgot that, a couple other characters in Red Dead 2 are in Red Dead 1. So I kind of recapped on it. I recapped on like the Red Dead Redemption 2 story. And like, I guess now that I have a full understanding of, all of Red Dead, like it just hit harder with me. And there's a particular scene where Arthur Morgan is talking to a nun that like really like made me feel some type of way emotionally. I'm not gonna lie, like I don't get emotional with games. I wasn't crying like no bitch, but I was like, damn, like I don't want this game to go down the road that it was headed, but it did. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed that ending.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. Like, um, and like playing like because I beat the game too this week, and it made me want to go and look at what happened in the first Red Dead Redemption because I forgot a lot of it too. I didn't even fully beat that game, but I know what happened at the end of the first Red Dead Redemption. But I don't remember a lot of the characters who appeared in that game, so I didn't remember that Dutch was in it, and other people from Red Dead Redemption 2. So I definitely want to go back and look at that story, in depth, just to see, the links to all of this story that's being told, in Red Dead Redemption 2. But
I was
go on.
looking at the final scene in Red Dead Redemption 1 with Dutch, and there's like lines that he says in that game that are kind of reused in Red Dead Redemption 2. And it just kind of made me like realize the scope of like, Rockstar. Like I feel like if you take just Red Dead Redemption 2 and you just like play it, you'll like it. But like I think you have to take into consideration like the world that they built, like this interconnected world between Red Dead Redemption 1 and Red Dead Redemption 2. And it just kind of made it grander in scope for me at least. Like they brought this all together. Like they uh weaved the story in together so beautifully. And yeah, I don't know. My praises go to Rockstar. Like, yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah,
Well, allow me to say, I know that neither you or Gary are paid by Rockstar, but you have certainly convinced me I need to hurry up and finish this game. So, uh, I agree there should be a spoiler discussion in the future. Um, maybe we can definitely make that happen. I do know that Tony Polanco has said that this is his game of the generation, so he may be an excellent person to have on that show as well. Because yeah, I mean, but pretty much, I definitely need to get back to that. So thank you for describing the emotional impact it left on you, because it just makes me know I definitely need to make some time to finish this game, and I don't really think I'm that far away from finishing it, but I still got a ways to go.
yeah.
So
I
I'm
feel like,
gonna.
go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna expand on my thoughts more when you get to what I've been playing. But I will say, Rich, this is one of the games that you should beat, like in my
Uh
opinion.
oh. Whoa. So more than God of War, you would say
Yeah,
I should beat it.
yeah, more than God of War.
Okay. Okay. All right.
It's gonna be
Sounds good to me.
Overwatch DLC.
Yeah, yeah, Overwatch 2.
No,
Yes.
but just real quickly, just to I guess finish my piece on Red Dead. The only thing I was gonna say was that if the Coalition was that Red Dead gang, I would be Arthur Morgan, and Swift would probably be John Marston or something.
No, I'm Arthur because I'm sick, man. I'm the sick one, so I'm
Oh
Arthur.
yeah, you be coughing and shit. Ain't no telling how much time you got left.
Yeah, that's the truth.
My bad, bro. Alright,
All
then
right.
I'd be fucking. I don't know who I'd be.
Does that mean Rich is Dutch?
Oh no,
Nah,
can't be. So something bad will happen to Dutch also.
Rich.
I'm
Rich
not
could
saying.
be Charles.
Well,
Well, if nothing bad happens to Charles, then maybe.
no, he's uncle.
Yeah, you're uncle.
Yeah, I'll be anybody except for Kieran. I do not want to be that character at all. So, yeah.
No, we got it, Kieran.
Yes. All right, cool. Sounds good. So I'm gonna go to you next, Gary. How about you let us know what you have been playing?
Yeah, so surprise, surprise, I've actually been playing quite a few things this week. Some of them by way of our friend Carl Ebanks, because I went to visit him yesterday. But yeah, so Overwatch we already know. I've been playing that. The Winter Wonderland event launched, which is the Christmas event, and there's a bunch of new skins and new emoticons and things like that. So if you're into Overwatch and you haven't played for a while, now is the time to get back into it and get all the new skins and stuff. Uh, Interestingly, the Lucio skin it looks a bit like Sonic the Hedgehog. If you look at it, in detail, like it looks like they were kind of going for that Sonic the Hedgehog look. So that's quite funny. But yeah, besides that, I'll get to Red Dead. So I beat Red Dead Redemption 2, and like Ed, it was a very touching ending for me, and I very much enjoyed it. And I found myself like when I got to a certain point in the game, I was like, wow, what's gonna happen? And we do need to have that spoiler discussion because it's hard for me to really explain it without giving up too much detail. But yeah, once you get to a certain point, it really starts to feel very serious, and you're wondering how things are going to turn out. And I think it was handled really, really well. Now, after you beat the game and you see like the ending for the main character play out, it goes into an epilogue where you're controlling John Marston. Now we know John Marston is the main character in the first Red Dead Redemption, so it's kind of setting up the first Red Dead Redemption. And I understand why they did the epilogue, but I will say this: that epilogue dragged on way too long. Like it's just like I don't understand and it brings down the pace of the game too because you're doing all this epic stuff towards the end of the main story with Arthur. You're doing all these like epic shootouts and things like that, and then you go into the epilogue and you're basically doing farm work again. Like you're doing fishing, you're scooping up like animal crap, and you're just doing like different minuscule missions and stuff like that, and it really throws you off because it's like you've gone on this crazy adventure with Arthur, and now you're playing John Marston, and it's like you're starting the game all over again, doing these like small time missions, and that goes on for hours too. Like it does start to slowly build up towards the end of the epilogue, and the end of the epilogue is relevant to what happens before that point and what happens in the next game, which is the first Red Dead Redemption. So it's it's worth sticking it out if you want to see that final chapter play out. But it was way too long. It dragged on like way too long, and the main game itself is long itself. So just the fact that the epilogue was such a drag is I got to deduct some points for that. But with that being said, I'll still say this is the best game I played this year, hands down. So kudos to Rockstar. They did a great job with this, and they like I enjoyed it thoroughly. Like there was a few chapters that kind of were a bit questionable, but I haven't enjoyed a game this thoroughly in a long time. So definitely one of the best games this year, I think, in my opinion.
So would you go far enough to say it is one of the best games of the generation so far?
Um, it's up there. Yeah, it's definitely up there, I think. But I still say this hasn't been a great generation overall. But this game is up there for sure.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, I recommend everyone play that game. It's definitely worth it. And it's way better than the first game in my opinion, because I eventually got bored of the first game. But this game has actually made me more interested in going back to the first game because it was that good. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Now on to some other things I played. So I played one of Rich's favorite games, which is WWE 2K19.
Oh, hell no! Don't tell me that you put yourself through that nonsense.
Yeah, well, like I said, there was a meetup at Carl Ebanks's house yesterday with me, Carl, Ramiz. We were exchanging gifts and everything. Carl's son was there too, so we all played a few rounds of Royal Rumble, and we did a TLC match as well. And if you're playing the game like that in like a party setting with some friends, and you're just having fun, it is a fun game. But I will say that it's very buggy. There was a lot of bugs in the game. At one particular time, one of the CPU characters was trying to throw out Rams, who was playing as Big Show, and he just got stuck in the ropes and he couldn't do anything. Like he just completely glitched out. Like and like the other characters were trying to hit him, but they couldn't hit him, so he was just stuck on the ropes. Like and yeah, he was just completely glitched. He couldn't do anything. And then eventually the entire game crashed, and we was on like the report screen where you can send like a report of the crash or whatever. And we typed in trash game and we sent the report. So, so yeah.
It's on PS4.
Yeah, this is the PS4 version.
Well, okay. Yep. That might be the issue because I haven't had the crashing happen on Xbox, but I'm not trying to start nothing. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, you're definitely starting something. But yeah, so if you are interested in this game, be wary of those bugs. But if you're just not taking it too seriously and you're just having fun with friends, then you can definitely have some fun with the game. So that's cool. I wouldn't buy it though, but yeah, it's cool.
But you should stop calling him Carl Ebanks because his name is Carl Daniel.
Well, he changed his name, but I mean, yeah, Carl Daniel. You can call him that too.
What's he running away from?
Yeah,
my name is my name. That's what Marlo said.
Shouts to The Wire, the best TV show. But I also played arguably one of the other Game of the Year choices, even though it came out later. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I played that yesterday. For a long time actually, because Ramiz and Cole, this is their favorite game. They wouldn't get off it, so I had to play, even though I didn't know half the characters. But yeah, we played that, and it's actually really fun. Like I finally understand the appeal of the game now. Like I was terrible at it, but I did my best, just trying to compete with Carl and Carl, Ramiz, and Mackay. I did my best. I tried to vary the characters I played as and everything. One thing I like about the game is how you unlock new characters because even if you're just playing like a versus mode against each other, you'll randomly get challenged by one of the other characters you can unlock, and then if you beat them, you unlock that character. So I like that no matter what mode you're playing, you can unlock all the characters because there are a lot of characters in the game. So it's cool that, it just keeps throwing the option to unlock all the characters at you. And the game is crazy, so sometimes it's hard to follow what's actually going on. But to a trained eye, to a trained Smash player, I'm sure you're used to everything by now. It probably feels familiar to previous Smash games. But yeah, I mean, as someone who's kind of a Smash noob, I quite enjoyed it. I was just hoping that we would unlock Cloud because that's like the only character I like in that game. Um,
That's the
but
only character you know in that game.
true, yeah, that might be true. Yeah. Now I know all the Pokemons and
Sonic.
yeah, Sonic, yeah. Um, so yeah, there's a few cool characters in there. But yeah, really good game. And I'm impressed with the Switch. Like I really might have to buy one. Like I know I said it before, but it might be time for me to get one soon.
I don't
So
think you should.
why not?
Don't fall into it, bro. Just don't fall into it. Because it sounds like a good idea right now, but I guarantee you once you have it, you won't play it.
Maybe, but there are a lot of like JRPGs that I like on there.
Well. Here's the question, Gary. Nate, what are 5 games that you would want to play on the Switch? If you can't answer that question, then we know you
Okay,
probably shouldn't get this.
5 games. Okay, I don't know if I can name five, but let me try. So, Pokemon is one. Um, Fire Emblem, I want to play that. Smash Bros, I'll probably get that. That's three. Shimigami Tensei, which is a JRPG. Um, and I don't know. I'm lost after that. So that's four at least.
I didn't really hear any first party games in there other than
Yeah,
Fire Emblem.
I didn't hear no Zelda, no Mario either. So
I'm
yeah.
like I'm not a Zelda or a Mario fan. I admit it.
Damn.
I don't care about Mario and Zelda and Metroid and all that stuff. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
Nah, it's all right. Neither do I.
But yeah, I mean, Smash was fun though. I don't know if it's like fun to play on your own, but playing it with four people, well, with four of us there was a pretty awesome experience. So
How
um,
was it seeing all of that on a $3,000 4K TV?
it
Uh-oh.
it was dope. I mean, it was a big screen, so you could,
Were the blacks blacker?
yeah,
Cool.
the blacks were blacker. But yeah, Smash was cool. And also, this morning I managed to, now with Red Dead out the way, I can finally move on to other games. And I decided to finally get into Spider-Man. So I played the very first. I don't know if it's a chapter, but like basically the first boss, which is Kingpin. So I played that whole first sequence of the game, and I can I can say to you guys already that this is definitely not a Game of the Year candidate for me. I mean, it seems like a cool Spider-Man game. Like for a Spider-Man game, it definitely seems cool. But when you're putting it up against other games, I don't think it's the same level of quality. The graphics weren't as sharp as, say, a Red Dead Redemption, or a God of War. And also, I don't know if it's because I'm still, learning. I'm still in that learning phase, but the combat didn't feel fluid to me. Maybe I still just have to learn all the combos and stuff, but it just, I don't know, something felt off to me. So, but yeah, I mean, in terms of it just being a Spider-Man game, it seems fun. It was fun swinging around New York and everything. But when when you put it up against a game like Red Dead, like coming straight off of a game like that, I can already tell that this isn't the same level of quality as that game. But it seems like it's gonna be a fun game regardless. So we'll see how I feel once I get into it more.
I actually abandoned Spider-Man because Red Dead came out, and I was like, I swear, like near the end of that game. So I'm gonna go back to it and just beat it, I guess. But I kind of did rob myself of like, because I spent so much time away. I really don't even remember what the story was.
The story
Um,
so far, it seems like it's going to be a pretty standard Spider-Man story.
it's very standard. And you mentioned the bosses, and now that I'm thinking about it or trying to recollect my, memory on that game, I don't think there was too many boss battles in this game. Am I right, Rich? The only ones I remember are Kingpin and Scorpion.
I'm not sure how far you are in the game, but no, there actually are quite a number of boss battles in the game. Because you have to also fight Mister Negative,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, him, yeah.
and then of course there was another boss later in the game that obviously they didn't really want to reveal that information, so I'm not going to reveal it either since Gary hasn't even gotten that far yet.
You're talking about the
But
final boss?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well then, yeah. I mean, I did Mr. Negative already.
yeah, and of course the video they showed at E3 before the game came out a while back when they showed Spider-Man and then all those villains. You saw like you said, Scorpion. We saw Shocker. Well, it's a couple of different people that they showed. So yeah, you do fight a couple of bosses, but overall, it's as you both have said, you feel as though the story is standard. However, I am going to say this, and I say this not as someone who is working for Insomniac Games. With all due respect, I still have to say this is the best Spider-Man game that I have ever played, and that is because of the quality of the story, the quality of all the other stuff, and of course, it sets up what's going to happen in the next game. So, yeah, it is still an excellent game.
Well, what
But
you said just there, what you said about it setting up another game, that's one thing I didn't like about God of War. So, I mean, I don't know if that's gonna be a good thing for me personally.
well, yeah, that is a point that you will criticize. But I will say that even though it sets up stuff, the whole way that it's handled, some of that stuff is a little bit different than it was in the comics. In particular, one character in particular that will be in the next game, the way they handle that character and who that character actually is, that's going to be very interesting for the sequel. But yeah, I understand what you said about the setting up can be a point of contention, and of course the whole thing with Miles Morales being in the game, that obviously is also a look into the future of the series. So yeah, I think that they definitely could have done more with that, but we'll have to see what the plan is moving forward. But with that said, it is a great game. I have to say the combat is awesome. So you probably you are early in the game now, but the combat is to me was one of the best things about the game besides the story. Because as you get into you start to unlock other things you can do with the different suits and the different gadgets you can use. The combat really
Mom,
goes to another level when you add that
did
stuff
you hear the
in the game.
washing machine?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Why is it?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know my mic
Oh,
was on.
Gary's
yeah.
over here washing his PlayStation underwear.
Nah, our
Yeah.
machine was going crazy. But yeah, my bad.
Oh no,
But
you good.
I mean, since I guess maybe Gary can answer this, but I know for sure, Rich, you can answer this, and I can answer this.
Yeah.
But I guess y'all, you were kind of comparing, not comparing it, but you were like, oh, it's kind of hard to go from Red Dead. So let's put Spider-Man against Batman. Like it's. I feel like that's an even playing field.
Mm-hmm.
What, which one do you think is better, or which one do you like better? Like, obviously Arkham, it's aged not what like as good because it's an older game, but just try to remember in that time, based on this time of Spider-Man.
Is that to me?
Well,
So
to both
both of
of
y'all, I
us.
guess.
So you want to go first, Gary? I already know what my answer is.
I mean, I haven't played that much of Spider-Man yet, but based on first impressions, that first Arkham game was incredible when I played that. So I would put that above this for sure so
Yeah.
far.
And I agree 120% with that because the Arkham game. I know that like you said, it might not have aged well, but that first game is a classic. Every time I play that game, I go back to when they had that battle with Scarecrow, and the whole sequence where you're walking down the hallway and having the hallucinations. That was just on another level for me because I still remember that to this day when I think about that game. The Scarecrow boss encounters were just crazy. So, yeah, I would say if I had to compare that to Spider Man, I definitely enjoyed that a hell of a lot more than Spider Man. No
You
doubt
think a
about it.
lot of that is due to like Joker because Joker's pretty popular?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Although I do think in that first Arkham game that Joker battle was just a little too like little too anticlimactic.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't like that final boss fight on Arkham.
yeah, yeah, because I mean the whole game is building up to whenever you encounter him, but then when it happens, it's a little disappointing. But that really was the only criticism I had. The game from beginning to the from that part, all the way to the beginning, the game was just solid. I had no issues with it whatsoever. But then when it got to that final battle, yeah, that was a little bit of a drawback. But yeah, still, I think that was a far better game. And of course, obviously, when it comes to the combat, I'm pretty sure Insomniac did their research on what they did with Arkham because that combat feels similar, although it has other things in it that kind of makes it a little bit different. But they definitely was inspired by Arkham combat. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I agree because the way you use your spidey sense and dodge things, like that's completely Arkham right there. Um,
Mhm.
with how you dodge stuff. And I will say, I don't want to completely bash the game. Like being like when I first got to swing through the city of Spider-Man and everything, that felt very refreshing because there hasn't really been a really good Spider-Man game since Spider-Man the movie 2, like that the one on PS2. Um,
Mhm.
so being able to do all that again felt great. So I can tell that this is definitely going to be the best Spider-Man game, but in terms of comparing it to everything else, I don't think it's going to be doing anything new, in particular. But um, but we'll see. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a totally uh, fair points that you made all across the board, and I look forward to hearing what you will say later. But I will tell you now, you will definitely be disappointed in some stuff. That is a guarantee, and nothing wrong with that. Um, but yeah, compared to everything else that came out this year, I totally understand why people are saying Red Dead Redemption is definitely up there. That is probably the game of the year. And it's right there with God of War, but I haven't finished God of War, so I don't really have too much I can say on that quite yet. But I definitely need to finish Red Dead ASAP.
You do.
Yeah. So
But yeah, that was everything. That's all I've been playing.
okay, cool. So I'm gonna be brief with mines because I can't really say too much on what I have been playing. Um, let me just go to a few quick things I have played. Yeah, Mutant Year Zero. I'm still playing through that. I actually am about to complete that, so I'll have a review for that this week. Once again, like I said, if you have Game Pass, you definitely should check this game out. If you are an XCOM fan, you like these strategy type of games. I had a very good conversation with a colleague the other day on the trip that I was on, which I'm going to go get into in a little bit. But he was telling me that there's another game that he was getting confused on the name of because it has mutant in it. And of course he was talking about the game Biomutant. That game right there is fantastic. I can't wait to play that. Obviously it didn't come out this year because the devs needed more time to work on it. So that'll be the game that comes out next year, and it's going to be something that everybody's going to be talking about. But with that said, this is along the same lines of that, where it's the anamorphic characters. But it does have some issues. Like I said the last time I spoke about this game, because I'm deeper in the game now, it still has issues with certain things requiring polish. And then there are certain times when you're listening to like an audio sequence where the audio just cuts out. It's only for a second. But I do think that this game, it probably needed a little bit more polish in certain areas. I don't know if this is an issue that is specific to the console version, because I haven't played it on PC. But with that said, it still is a fun game. If you like XCOM and you really have a desire to play something that is like XCOM, then you should check it out. And again, if you have Game Pass already, you have no excuse not to, because pretty much it's free as long as you have that subscription. So it's definitely worth checking out, I would say, in those regards. And moving on to the other game that I did play, and I can only really say that I've played this game, and that is The Division 2. I want to give a shout out to Ubisoft and Red Storm Studio, because they actually flew me out to North Carolina to actually play the game this past week. And I do have a lot to say on the game, but I cannot really talk about too much about it because it is under a really strict embargo. I will talk about it in the future. You'll know when everything is going to go live. But I will say this: the experience of going to an event like E3, where there are just so many games, you have to cover so many different conventions, you have to attend so many different presentations. It gets a little crowded. Obviously, you go to E3, you'll have your favorites, stuff like that you do remember, and then there's other stuff that you really don't remember. But going to an event like E3 and then going to something like this, where it is just focused on one specific game, and everything about that experience to me is just a lot more important and a lot more intimate. Because again, going into this, I already knew I was gonna learn more about the Division 2, which I did. But it was just more so focused on that, and I didn't have to worry about, well, now I got to go to this other appointment. No, it was focused specifically on that, and then getting a chance to meet the devs, learn about what they're doing with the game. I really appreciated that, and I think that experience is something that we definitely, hopefully, we do get more opportunities like that in the future, to just focus on one specific game, whether it's a preview event, so on and so forth, because then you can learn so much more about the development process, about what went into the game, and then what makes the game special and stand out. So, as I said, I can't really talk too much about the game at the moment. I will say that the preview event was fantastic. And definitely look forward to my thoughts in the future. But yeah, once again, got to give a shout out to Ubisoft, because I had an excellent time. It was great. And then, of course, I saw our colleague Tony Polanco was at the event, a whole bunch of our other friends in the industry that was also at this event. So it was great to see everybody, and I look forward to being able to talk a lot more about the Division 2 in the future.
Yeah, I look forward to playing that game, and hopefully it will be way better than the first one in terms of content.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So looking forward to that. But stay tuned. I will be able to talk about it in the future. Hopefully not too much longer, but we'll see. We'll see. But I think that concludes what we have been playing for this week. So as I mentioned before, we do have a couple of news topics here we want to get into. The first topic not really a topic that I don't think everybody's going to have a lot to say on. I wanted to add this topic because this news actually happened while I was at the event, and then when I found out about it, I was very interested. I'm glad that this decision was made. But of course, I'm talking about the news that Metro Exodus, the release date has moved from February 22nd to a week earlier, and now the game is coming out February 15th. Now, obviously, if February 22nd sounds familiar, it should, because that is the day that Anthem was supposed to be coming out. And Anthem still is on track to come out on that date. EA hasn't delayed anything, but Metro Exodus, they already finished, it's already gone gold. So their decision to push it back, I think it was a wise decision. However, initially I thought this was a wise decision, and I still do think it's a good decision. But then I took a look at February 15th, and there are about 5 or 6 other games coming out on this exact same day. So just to give some context, and then I'll get you and Ed's opinion. On February 15th, we have Metro Exodus, which I mentioned. Now we also have Jump Force. We have Far Cry New Dawn, Dead or Alive 6, and of course, Ed's most anticipated game of 2019, Crackdown 3. So, with that said, their decision to move this game to February 15th instead of the same day as Anthem, do you guys think that was a wise decision, or do you think they should have just left it on the 22nd?
I mean, that is a pretty stacked day, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this will be one of the more played games that come out that day.
Yeah, I think so as well. Because I go back to when they revealed it at the Microsoft event, and the instant reaction before we knew it was Metro, they were like, "Man, this game looks fantastic." So hopefully you are right in that regard, and it is played the most on that day. I mean, I know our very good friend Max Muller did a preview about this from E3 earlier this year, and we had a discussion, and the concern was that why is this game coming out the exact same day as Anthem? So I'm glad for the sake of Anthem, because I actually want Anthem to be a good game, and I actually want this game to also get some attention. So I'm glad that it's getting moved, but we'll ultimately see what happens in terms of a lot of people actually wanted to play it around that time.
Yeah, I mean, I never beat the first two, but I played some of the first one, and it's a very atmospheric game. And this game seems pretty cool in terms of because I know it's outside now, whereas
Yeah,
the other ones were more, focused on being inside. You were more sheltered and everything, and I like the amount of detail they put into the environment in this one. So that seems, interesting in itself, the environment and stuff. So um, I'll be, I mean, I'm not gonna promise I'll play it right away when it comes out, but I'll be listening to the reception of what people say, and if people say it's a game you should play, then I'll probably give it a chance eventually. So
absolutely. And Ed, do you have any thoughts, or are you good?
he don't care.
I mean, he don't care about Metro Exodus. I'm surprised he didn't defend Crackdown 3. So I will remember that comment later, or the lack of a comment rather. All right. So as I said, that was a quick topic I wanted to mention. Let's move on to the next topic. And you know a little bit more about this, Gary. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you about the SNES and NES Classic news.
Yeah, so basically, Reggie Fils-Aimé, he came out and said that once the current stock on the SNES Mini and the NES Mini run out, that's it. Like, you're stuck after that. Like, so they won't be manufacturing anymore. Of course, they had initial shortages when these systems first came out, but then they manufactured more of them. And, I've been seeing them on Amazon and other retail outlets for the past few months now. And there's been a few times where I hovered over it, thinking, oh, should I buy this? Because, it's not that much money really. But I wish I would have bought them at that time. But Now they've kind of bumped the price up a little more than it was back then. And you know, I'm kind of interested in getting them, but at the same time, I could live without them because there are, you know, ways to play those games. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, there's, you know, there's ways to relive these games if you really want to, but at the same time, it would be
Soldier
cool.
game.
Exactly, yeah, soldier game. That's what I was alluding to. But yeah, it would at the same time it would be cool to just have a mini version of these classic systems. You know, other companies have tried to create a mini version of their consoles, but it didn't work out as well, in my opinion. But these are pretty respectable. So if you want one, this might be the last chance to get one this holiday. So I would definitely encourage everyone to go out and try and get one if you can.
And I have to ask the question: was this an endorsement for Nintendo, meaning that Nintendo was paying you to say this stuff, or is this just your own personal opinion?
No, it's my personal opinion because that like even though I never you know I was never a big Nintendo guy back when these systems were on the market. I actually did own an NES, contrary to popular belief. You know that was like it got handed down to me, but it was like the first system I officially owned was the NES, but I only had like two games on it, so you know. Um, but the SNES, you know, these systems have classics on them, so they are part of history. So you know, whether I was a big Nintendo head or not back then, these are a part of gaming history. So it's a pretty cool thing to have, you know. So everyone should, you know, if you want it, go get it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, I think yeah, this system will definitely be sold out if it isn't already sold out again by over the next couple of days. I'm pretty sure it will be. Even though I am a fan of NES and SNES, um, I don't really think that I have the time nor the extra money to actually pick up either of these or the interest. With that said, because I don't have a problem with retro gaming. Makes me think about my past, but there are just so many games that I need to finish from this generation, let alone from last year. That I need to finish, and I actually want to finish. I still want to finish God of War. I still want to finish Red Dead Redemption. So I have to use my time accordingly. So I am happy for those that actually want to pick up either of these consoles because they definitely are guaranteed to get it. But I have to pass on that for now, personally. So Ed, how about you? Are you gonna pick up the SNES or NES Classic? Nope.
Probably already has it.
Yeah, he isn't picking this up.
I
He was
mean,
just making fun of. He was just making fun of you because you said it.
Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, yeah. I asked, are you gonna pick up the SNES or NES Classic?
I personally didn't buy the SNES Classic, but my brother purchased one. We played it one time.
Uh oh.
We played it one time. That's the day he brought it home, and then we never ever played it again. Me personally, my opinion on retro gaming is just like leave that shit in the past. Like music and gaming, it's just different. Like a song, you can listen to some old '90s hip hop, and it's cool. Um, but like with gaming, you can't really do that. It's more time consuming, or at least you can. But like, you're also gonna miss out. You either miss out on the future or the present, or you're just playing old ass games over and over again. And like my I guess my fascination with retro games or remakes or anything ended a long time ago. It actually ended with the remake of Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time.
Oh yeah.
I remember when it came out to Xbox Live, it looked cool, and I played it with at the time I played it with Anthony Frazier, and it just wasn't what it was, man. It wasn't what it used to be. It didn't give me that feeling. It didn't remind me of anything. It was just like, whoa, that game was that short. Like, cause when I played it as a kid, everything seems like a long game and everything, but like nowadays, I just don't want to play retro games. Like, for what? Look at what it did to Shenmue. Like
Oh yeah.
Shenmue, I love the Shenmue in 2001, but this year actually, it came out this year. Dude, when I played it, I think I was on this podcast or some podcast, and I was trashing Shenmue. Like
Yep.
this remake or this re-release reminded me, or it didn't even remind me but it made me realize actually, it opened my eyes to how shit Shenmue was. And Shenmue before August when that came out again, I would have told you that's one of my favorite games of all time. And it probably still is, but man, this remake, it made me realize just how bad that game is. There's times where you literally, I think me and Gary had agreed. There's times in this game where you can't really do anything. Like
Yeah,
there's really nothing to do. You have to go back home and sleep just to, be able to carry on with your,
with
I
the
guess,
next mission and
story.
shit.
Yeah, with the narrative. But it was just bad, and like that's kind of what these retro games do for me. It just opens my eyes and makes me realize, hey, that game you love, it's actually shit. So yeah, I'm just not into retro gaming at all.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what he's saying about that, and I mean, there are certain times when I like to relive certain retro games like Streets of Rage and things like that, but I understand what he's saying. Like certain games belong in the past when you played them, like they belong as a memory, like a treasured memory kind of thing. Now, one of the biggest problems I have with the PlayStation Classic is a lot of those PlayStation games are terrible to go back to now because that was when 3D was just kicking into gear, and it was the whole polygon phase, and the controls were not great in a lot of those games. So going back to those games now is going to be a struggle. It's easier to go back to the NES and SNES and Sega Genesis because it's just 2D graphics. The controls weren't that bad, but dealing with early 3D games, like it's gonna seem so dated. So there are certain games and experiences that belong in the past. So I can agree with that.
That sounds good. Yeah.
You kind of
Very
just
good.
made me realize or like see a counter argument for my original argument because you mentioned PlayStation Classics. And you're right. I've seen the list of those games, and I never personally owned a PlayStation 1, but those games that are on that mini PlayStation are all fucking garbage. All of
Oh
them.
whoa.
Every single one of them is garbage. Um, but that's not my point. I'm not hating. But my point was, I think Crash Bandicoot is on there too, and I know that they did a remake of Crash Bandicoot, like a HD, and I kind of want to play it because I never played Crash Bandicoot before, and I heard it's actually good. But yeah, I guess my main gripe with just retro games is certain games, or it's just I don't know. I can't really think of too many remakes or HD remasters that I've been a fan of.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I feel like Crash Bandicoot. I should give it a try, just because that game looks like it. They really like remade it.
yeah. I mean, there are certain games like that are cool to revisit. Like there's certain standout games. Like the first Metal Gear Solid, I would go back to that. Final Fantasy VII, I go back to that all the time. So there are certain ones that you go back to and they still kind of hold up today. And especially if they remaster them too, that obviously that makes it more playable for today. But
Yeah. I feel like
yeah,
there's, yeah, I mean, just to make it clear, like, probably the newer. Like the games that are maybe a generation or two generations behind, I don't mind. Like a Shadow Colossus remake, I actually want to play that because I've never actually played that game, but it's just always been on my to do list. I just never got around to it. But um, but yeah, I feel like that's the type of remake or remaster I would like because I saw a rumor recently, and I don't know if it was fake or not, but it said something about somebody was remaking Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 or something like that, and I was just like, why? I don't like who the fuck wants to play Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 today? I don't know, man.
Oh, they'll get somebody to pick that up, guaranteed.
Well, yeah, it's because they always profit on nostalgia. There's always money in nostalgia,
Yeah.
especially coming from Nintendo. Those guys will resell you games you bought 5 times already. Like,
This is
I don't want to turn into a Nintendo basher, but I think Nintendo is one of the worst companies. They literally rip off gamers, and because of the fandom of Nintendo, like people are just so blind to see it. And I don't know, man. It should not be a war between Xbox and Sony. I think everybody should be against
Yeah,
Nintendo.
that's one thing I will say about this whole NES thing. They could make more if they wanted to. Like it's not I'm sure it's not that cost effective. It's basically a Raspberry Pi that they're using. So they could easily make more if they wanted to. I think they just want to create that artificial demand so people go out and buy it this holiday because they want those sales. So I think that's really what this is. So but still, if you want them, go get them.
yeah, and they have Smash Brothers, so they got a lot. They will be making a lot of money this holiday season, no matter what.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers DLC.
Yep, that's coming. That's yeah, I can't wait to see who these other characters are that they announce.
Yeah, I want my man from Persona 5. I want to play him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'll get him, but I want to know who are these other characters in this same pack. We'll see.
Banjo and Kazooie.
It's possible. We'll see.
But before we move on to the next topic, I just wanted to touch on this very quickly because it relates to retro and Nintendo somewhat.
Yeah.
So there was a poster that was dropped in our group chat earlier this week, like around Monday or Tuesday or something. I believe I was at work or traveling to work at the time, but I saw a very curious poster put into our group chat by Ramiz Quadri, and I saw the outline of a certain Sonic the Hedgehog, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Is this fan art or something?" And then it was later revealed that they're making a live action Sonic movie. So, Richard, what's the deal with this? Like, why is this happening?
I honestly don't know why it's happening, but I will definitely tell people check out the show that I will be doing with Dana later today because I'm pretty sure she knows a little bit more about this than I do. All I know is that I saw the reactions online and it's very mixed receptions. Of course, some bad, a lot of negative thoughts about it because people are asking why are they making a live action Sonic movie. But obviously they have a lot more that they have to show. The movie is not coming out until November of next year, so I'm pretty sure we'll get a chance to see a lot more of this before it actually hits. But I think we all know that when it comes to movies based on video games, uh, this is almost always a losing battle because I can't think of too many movies that did work great. The first Mortal Kombat, you could say that was an excellent. That was pretty good. But I can't think of too many other movies out here that they've done a great job making the transition from a video game to an actual movie. So I don't know what to think about this Sonic thing quite yet. Um, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm not sure. So but Gary and Ed, you guys are gonna pick up day one tickets to see this, right?
No, I'm completely not interested. I wanted to ask you guys, like, is this the new wave now? Because I saw the Detective Pikachu movie, the trailer, and
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds seems like he's doing a good job in that. So do you think that they saw that film and wanted to make one for Sonic or something? Like, is this the new wave that we're gonna see with
I
these?
don't. To that question, personally, I don't think so because a movie takes like time. So I'm pretty sure this was already in development at the
Yeah.
same time that Detective Pikachu was. But I can definitely see more video game movies being made with this type of style because Detective Pikachu actually looked cool from to me at least in the trailers. Like it
Yeah.
kind of won me over. Like I was interested. I was like, okay, that seems like a cool like mix of what you should do with a Pokemon movie.
Yeah,
But Sonic, I don't know, man. Sonic is man, yeah, man, niggas is gonna hate me, man. Sonic is overrated as fuck. It
I
always
mean,
has been. It's
nah,
trash,
I won't say always. Like Sonic One and Sonic Two, they are
and that's
still
it.
they are still some of the best games ever made, hands down.
And that is it. Two games.
I mean, some people would argue it was Sonic 3 as well, but I never played it that much, so I don't know. But yeah,
If anything, it's only Sonic 2 that people remember.
I mean, but they're classics though. They're cemented in history. Now, I will say that they've ruined Sonic's legacy a little bit. So, I can see your point there, but he the Sonic brand has produced some classics. I mean, you could even say Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on Dreamcast. They were pretty good too. So, yeah, I mean there are some classics, but I do agree that they're doing more bad than good now with the Sonic character. So I think it's time for an intervention of sorts.
Well, I mean, the Sonic Mania game did very well last year, so stuff like this, and then the fact that Sonic is still making appearances in these Mario games every so often, I think that's some of that stuff is helping to keep the brand. And I'm pretty sure that influenced their decision when they decided to make this movie. They saw how the reception was of the Sonic Mania game and all this other stuff. That I'm pretty sure all of that played a factor into the decision to now, well, let's just do everything Sonic. But
I'm
I
not.
will say this. Oh no, I'll just say this real quickly.
Yeah, carry on.
The movie still will do well because we have a lot of examples of movies that we have seen that we thought were going to be garbage that have made a ton of money at the box office. So I do believe that even if the movie is ultimately going to turn out to be bad to us, it's still going to make a ton of money at the box office. So
I would
it's that.
not be so sure about that.
You don't think so?
I'm not saying like no, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be like, oh, I guarantee it. Nah, this movie has the potential to flop big time.
Yeah,
Detective Pikachu will not flop. I'll tell you that. That's gonna be like a good. It's gonna make money. That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
But Sonic, I don't know, man. Is it like? Do you know anything about this movie? Is it a mixture of like live action
See,
with?
see, that's the thing. I don't know all that information. I'm pretty sure I mean Dana knows more than I know about this particular movie, I believe. So I will have to ask her. I will say that the movie, what it does have going for itself, is it is going to be coming out around Thanksgiving holiday. So I know a lot of people are going to definitely take their kids to see this movie because during the holiday season, there's always these movies that come out and do it ridiculously well at the box office. I know Wreck-It Ralph, that movie came out not too long ago, and that made a ton of money. So it
Yeah,
can
but that's
still.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh yeah, Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, and Sonic was in that movie also. See, so yeah, it's we have to wait and see how it does.
I'm gonna keep it real, man. Like the Sonic brand took a hit because you know how Jay-Z and Nas were beefing, and then they squashed the beef, and then Jay-Z signed Nas to like his management label and all this stuff. That's basically what happened to Sonic. Like it was always Sonic versus Mario, and then now we see Sonic on Nintendo platforms and in Super Smash Bros. Like the brand took a hit, man. He can't recover from that.
I agree.
Well, hey, we'll see. So we'll have to revisit this discussion a year from now, and when both of you guys will say, you know what, man, that Sonic movie was fire.
No,
And then,
the movie. I know the movie. Gary's waiting for is Monster Hunter.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
He's
with
ready
all.
to see. You ready to see T.I. in Monster Hunter?
Is he in that?
Yup.
Are you serious?
Yup.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, maybe he thought that this was Takers 2 that he signed up for, and not Monster Hunter. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. I'm good on all video game movies. I don't count Pokemon, the Pikachu one, as a video game movie because Pokemon is a separate entity itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good on all video game movies like moving forward because after what happened with Assassin's Creed and Tomb Raider, I'm good.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed was just a complete disaster.
I want a Red Dead Redemption movie
Oh.
so I could cry.
Yeah, it's gonna take if that movie happens. It's probably gonna take another 6 or 7 years for Rockstar to make that movie, like it did to make this game. So we'll see.
Oh, the only movie that will work in this kind of style is Overwatch.
Well, hey, that might happen because since they have decided that they're not going to create a any type of campaign for Overwatch, they can definitely put their money towards a movie. So yeah, that'll definitely happen.
Yeah, I mean,
If anything, it'll be trash like the Warcraft movie.
Well, hopefully that's not true.
There was actually people who liked that movie though, but I never saw it.
It wasn't good. I went to see that shit in theaters
So I never seen it, so I can't.
for free though.
That's interesting. We'll see. Okay. That's funny. Okay. Let's move on to the next topic. This one probably not going to last that long because I don't really think anyone in here really cares about this, because I know Gary still hasn't played The Walking Dead season 2 or season 3, so he probably definitely don't care about this. So The Walking Dead final season episode 3 finally has a release date. It is now going to be released, I believe, on January 15th. Right now, the team working on it is the same team that was involved working alongside Telltale Games, Skybound Games. So I do believe that they did reach out to the people who were working on these episodes beforehand with Telltale and brought them back on to continue and finish off the episode. So I just wanted to ask you guys, are you still looking forward to this now that Telltale is now defunct and this series is pretty much over? Are you still anticipating finding out how Clementine's story ends, or do you not even care about it anymore since all the stuff that happened with Telltale?
I don't care. I left off at season 2. I completed season 2 of Walking Dead, and even then, it just wasn't as good as the first season.
Yeah,
with that other dude. I don't know what his name was again.
You talking about Lee Everett?
Yeah, Lee. There you go. Yeah, just after that, it was I feel like that could have been done for me, especially with all those little mini episode things that they did with the 400 days, and it just kind of took me out of Walking Dead with all that stuff. Like and it's kind of their fault. It's kind of Telltale's fault. Like I can't be blamed for it. Like they kind of flooded the market with not only Walking Dead but with their games in general. Like I don't think that was a smart idea. I don't know. That's the way I look at things now.
Well, there definitely are some games that they should not have worked on, or should have just said, "Well, nah, we're gonna pass on this," such as the Game of Thrones game, perhaps. Because I haven't
Yeah,
heard too many positive things about that game. Well, how about you, Gary? I mean, you enjoyed it, right?
No, I hated the Game of Thrones one, to be honest.
I have it. I have it, and I only played the first episode.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. But
Uh,
with regards to Walking Dead, like first season classic, I'm sure we all agree. Second season I didn't like so much. The third season though got me back into it. Like it made me care about Clementine again, and the other
yeah,
characters that were involved in that season. So that third season really is what reignited my interest. Now with this new season, this final season that they were working on, so the first episode came out, and this was before we knew what was going on with Telltale. And I almost bought that first episode, but I didn't. I held out on it because I was doing a lot of other things at that time. So I told myself when the second episode comes out, that's when I'm gonna just go ahead and buy it. The second episode came out, and shortly after is when the news broke about Telltale. So, at that point, I was just like, you know what? There's no point buying it because I don't know what's gonna happen. So my stance right now on it is I will wait until the story is complete. If they manage to complete it, then I will consider buying it then based on feedback from everyone else. And then hopefully I'll be able to finally finish the story at that point. But as of now, I am not interested in buying that season until it's complete. So that's my stance on it. And I will say that because Ed said they flooded the market or whatever, and it got saturated. I agree that eventually it got saturated, but for a small period of time, there was like a wave where Telltale games were like a breath of fresh air, and like they were the wave, like they were what I wanted to play at that point in
yeah,
time. So I will say that, because there was a time where things were getting stagnant. Like we were in the Call of Duty era, where it was just Call of Duty games every year, Assassin's Creed every year. There was no innovation, and these games were definitely a breath of fresh air. Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, and then some more games came after that as well. And in that era, like Telltale were like one of the best studios to me at that point in time. So, but yeah, eventually they got stale, and they didn't innovate, they didn't improve the engine or any of those things, and I guess that's kind of what led to their demise. So
yeah, yeah. You're pretty much right. And I just want to say, since you brought it up, man, it just every time you mention Wolf Among Us, I'm so disappointed we're not gonna get another season of that. Because I enjoyed that series probably more than Walking Dead. Well, it's like right neck and neck with that. So unfortunately, that is the case. But it is what it is at this point. And as for what you said about Walking Dead season three, I agree 100%. Season three was actually really good. I like the new characters they introduced, and of course that they brought back Clementine, but they had her in a supportive role instead. But again, after all that happened with Telltale, yeah, it's rather unfortunate what happened with them. But I understand why people may not be quite as interested in what's going to happen moving forward with these other episodes. But as someone who has purchased the season pass, I absolutely intend to find out how the story concludes. So I don't. I mean, I think it'll be ridiculous not to. But yeah, only because I've already played the first two episodes. But we'll see how everything pans out. For those that are looking forward to episode three, though, yes, they'll be glad to know it's coming next month. So that's something that they can prepare themselves for. So we'll give them that at the very least. But any final thoughts before we move on to our final topic of today?
Nah.
All right, so this final topic, Gary, is something that I definitely this is something that I'm glad you brought this because I believe that this is a story that you just saw today. So I want you to introduce this because I know a little bit about what's been going on with Discord. You know, there are quite a number of games coming to that service. So feel free to start off this topic and let us know what's going to happen with Discord and how this might become a bigger deal moving forward.
Yeah, this story is definitely very timely because I just introduced one of our friends to Discord, Ramiz. So it's quite cool to see that now there's some major news concerning them. So basically, earlier this year, a few months back, Discord actually like they opened up their app so that you could actually buy games on the PC. Now, for those who don't know, Discord is a communications app that it's a little like Skype where you can chat to people, connect to people, and you can build your own servers on there and manage your servers, and you can be in different servers at once. So there's a lot of like communities on there. It's really geared towards gamers because if you're using the app on PC, it can track which games you're playing, and your friends can see what games you're playing, and you can create communities around which games you're playing and things like that. So it's a really good communications tool. You can use it on mobile as well, and yeah, it's really good. So earlier this year, they actually made it so that you could purchase games on Discord. Now, for the most part, it's a lot of indie games because it depends on the publisher. Discord, they don't go out to strike any deals in particular, or well, they didn't initially. They just made it open so that if you were a studio or a publisher, you could choose to publish your game through Discord, and then that would be like another revenue stream, like another storefront, basically. So yeah, they launched that feature a few months ago, and you can buy games on Discord. So now, recently there was actually some news that Epic Games is making their own store as well, where third party studios could upload games, and they basically did this for Fortnite because they wanted like a storefront where they could sell Fortnite stuff, but then they also thought we'll open it up so publishers can publish their games here too. So Epic Games is doing the same thing now, but Discord is doing something incredible where they're offering a 90-10 revenue split. Now, what this means is that they would only take 10% of the revenue, and the publisher would get 90% revenue from publishing their games on Discord. Now, when you compare that to something like Steam takes the 30% of revenue. So if you publish your game on Steam, somebody buys it, Steam is taking 30% of that revenue for listing it on their service. So the fact that Discord is only taking 10 is a big deal, and it shows that they want to be competitive, they want to be aggressive, and they want to disrupt Steam and other storefronts and digital distribution services that sell games on PC. So this is very interesting because Discord, they've got like millions of users now because it's been the growing communications tool for the past few years. Like more and more people are getting Discord all the time. It's becoming like the default thing. They have Slack, of course, but Slack is more for professionals in work, whereas Discord is more of the casual app that you use, to connect with friends and gamers and things like that. So yeah, Discord is quickly becoming one of the biggest communications tools in the world, and they have millions of users already, and now they're offering games on their platform, and to entice publishers, they're only taking 10%. Now this is a big deal in business. Like, if you're an indie game studio or indie game developer or publisher, this really is a big deal because it means you're going to make a ton of money publishing your games on Discord, and you're putting your game in front of tons of eyeballs at the same time, because even though Steam probably has like the bigger number of people actively buying games, there are people who play games on Steam. The games that they've bought on Steam, they'll play them on Steam, but they'll also use Discord to communicate. So those same people using Steam are also using Discord. So like, this is basically opens up the perfect opportunity for Discord to eat Steam's market share. So this is a dangerous game for Steam that Discord is playing, and it seems like they're directly trying to compete with them and disrupt them. So I wanted to basically shed some light on that, and I wanted to ask you guys if, I know you guys aren't heavy on PC, you aren't PC gamers yet. I will make PC gamers of both of you someday, but I wanted to ask you guys, if you think that there is going to be a world where Steam isn't the dominant PC platform to buy games. Like, what do you think Discord will be successful at this? So that was the question I wanted to raise, and the discussion I wanted to have. So what do you think, Rich?
Yeah, I was going to ask if Ed had anything he wanted to say to go first, but I'll go ahead and say a few things.
Hold on, I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know anything, and I don't care.
I'll make you care one day, but yeah, okay.
So my thoughts on this. I actually do care about this. I'm in the market right now for a new computer. My Mac is officially finished and over with. So I definitely am going to get a PC within the first quarter of 2019. Every time we normally get an opportunity to review or preview certain games that are on PC, we are unable to do that because we don't have a PC that properly runs stuff. So I definitely am going to get a new PC. I know anyone that has ever been following the coalitions since I joined the site in 2009, they're going to be like, this guy has been saying since day one he's going to get a gaming PC. But it will finally happen. It will finally happen in the first quarter of 2019. Now, with that said, I do care about this news. To answer your question specifically, do I think that there will ever be a situation in which Steam will not be the number one? I absolutely, positively don't think that will ever happen, because I know that Steam has been around for a very long time. I do find it interesting that Discord is starting to get some of these opportunities, because I have heard of quite a number of games that were launching on Discord, and the fact that they want me to post this type of news on the website and stuff like that. So I do know Discord has a lot of things in the works, and I'm very curious to see what happens moving forward in 2019. I do believe that they can definitely come in and disrupt the market to the point where they're actually pulling in a lot of money off of this. But I do think that ultimately, will they ever overtake Steam? I don't think that that's possible. I don't think and the thing is that while they may not overtake Steam, I do think that they may put some pressure on Steam to do more stuff for the people that actually use that service. And what I basically mean is, I know they already have Steam sales. That's totally fine. But Valve has made it very clear that they actually are going to get back into publishing their own games and also working with other companies. So I can see them, easily, whether or not this game actually comes out, they can announce that a new Left 4 Dead is in development and it is launching on Steam exclusively, and make that an incentive for those that want to get on Steam or are already using Steam to stay on there. So, I do believe that they may, from a business standpoint, see Discord as competition and say, well, we have to do different things to try and keep people on using Steam. So we can just announce a game is coming out, Steam. People who buy it on Steam, they have some type of exclusive access or some type of feature that makes it valuable to them. But I definitely think the Steam, they're going to find other ways to remain competitive. But yeah, this is great for Discord because, I mean, I know that I've seen a lot of people in these chats. I mean, we've been invited to several chats. This has been going on for at least, I want to say, the last 2 years. We've been invited to several chats in several Discord groups. There are a lot of people that do podcasts that actually have Discord channels for everybody, all of their followers to join in and interact with them as well. So this is an awesome thing for Discord, I think, without a doubt. But I'm curious to see how successful this will be and whether or not it's going to be an issue for Steam. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to be a issue with Steam, but it definitely can encourage them to do more for people who are already using Steam right now. So we'll have to see how everything turns out with that.
Yeah, and one of the other things that's gonna give Discord an advantage is, for years, one of the biggest complaints about Steam has been its communications and its chat systems, like, because they're not great. I mean, they do exist, but they could be way better, and they haven't really updated the system that much for a while. Like, they've done little visual tweaks and things, but they haven't updated it as much as they could have. But Discord is now, because they slacked on that end, Discord is now the go-to communication source for gamers on PC.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's opened up a whole entire direct line from Discord to Steam's customers. So now they already have Steam's customers' ears. All they have to do now is say, hey, come over here to buy your games instead. And if they get some big publishers on board, because we know how greedy these big publishers are. Like, well, EA has their own platform, so they probably won't play. But let's say Ubisoft or who else? See, this is where it gets complicated, because a lot of the big publishers also have their own clients as well. Like, Ubisoft has Uplay, EA has Origin, Bethesda has their own Bethesda client. So things are weird now. Things are getting weird on PC, where everyone is having their own storefront where they sell games. So that's what's getting weird. But Steam is still the number one place, and I feel like there's room for Discord to quickly become that number two place to buy games. And if they get into that space, it's going to be very profitable for them, even though they're only taking 10% of the revenue. It's going to be like a big deal, And also, you gotta ask yourself where Microsoft fits into this, because for the longest time, they've been trying to compete with Steam and become more visible as a place to buy games on Windows, because Windows is their system, like, it's their operating system. And, I think for years, Microsoft has secretly been kind of salty that they're not the go-to place to buy games. So, so yeah, I mean, I feel like they've been working hard to build the Xbox brand up to where it's going to become a respectable place to buy games on PC. So we have to ask ourselves where they fit into this, and maybe they would even consider purchasing Discord or something like that would solve the problem for them. Do you think something like that is likely to happen?
Yeah, yeah. I mean that's very likely. Yeah. Microsoft, as you said before, they probably was salty about that. I think with Microsoft, what they're doing with Game Pass right now is, that has a lot of potential to grow. And I know that this is a service that they want on everything, so I don't really know to what extent they're going to do with Game Pass. I guess we'll learn more about that in the future. But I just think right now, there definitely are a lot of opportunities out here that can be taken advantage of by virtually anybody. And I wasn't really aware that Steam, they had issues with the communication, and that was one of the biggest complaints with Steam. So I would say, well, yeah, Discord definitely has an advantage now, and yeah, I'm very curious to see which. The thing is, even if it's just an indie game, indie devs that decide to publish their game on Discord as a timed exclusive or whatever, if it's a big indie title that blows up, then that right there, that's all it takes. Because we know that with these indie games, they're not all going to be fantastic games, but there is the likelihood of one of those games blowing up. That would just basically be a huge thing for Discord. So all it takes is for it to be a quality title that could just come out of nowhere and surprise everybody, and then all of a sudden Discord will definitely get all the benefits of that. So I'm curious to see how that plays out for them. But what they do offer devs, that right there is going to be an unbeatable offer for anybody that wants to publish their game on there. So got to see how that turns out. But I will say 2019 is going to be very interesting for Discord.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of this discussion is hypothetical and what we think will happen, but we just gotta wait and see. But this news definitely shows what Discord is planning to do. They want to compete, so it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out.
Oh yeah, and people like Ed who said they don't care, they may be forced to use Discord in the future as a result.
Oh yeah, man, I'm converting everyone. Like, in 2019, you and Ed gonna have PCs. You're gonna be on Discord. It's gonna happen, man.
Oh yeah.
Trash cord.
Yeah, interesting. So, any final thoughts on this topic or anything else before we get ready to wrap up today's show?
Nothing else from me. Ed, was there anything else going on in the streets that you wanted to talk about? Guess not.
Nope, nothing else. So, on that note, just want to give a quick programming note for those. We are going to be doing another show. We're going to mainly be talking about our best games of 2018, and we'll maybe go into detail with a few titles we're looking forward to in 2019. So you can stay tuned for that show. I want to say that'll probably be next week, but that's going to definitely be the last show of the year. And then of course we'll talk about when we'll be back, because of course Christmas break. We're going to take a little quick break during the holidays, as we do every year. But next week we'll definitely have that show, so stay tuned for that. We're probably going to record that on Friday. I'm not sure if it's going to be Friday or Sunday yet, but we will let you know on our social media platforms exactly when that's going to go down. And we are going to have a few people on that show, so definitely stay tuned for that, because we're definitely going to have a lot to talk about in terms of the games that stood out the most this year. And I actually have a couple of games that I definitely think are going to be very interesting when I do mention them, because I haven't really spoken too much about these games as my game of the year contenders. But yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we thank you all for listening to today's show. If you are going to be doing any Christmas shopping this week, definitely take your time. Try not to wait till the last minute, and also remember that the gift, gifts are cool, but it's not all just about gifts. The holiday is supposed to be the opportune time to spend your time with family and stuff like that. So remember that that's important also. It's not always just about the gifts. But yeah, we'll speak more on that later. But as for the final shout outs, Ed, do you have any final shout outs that you would like to give?
Just get yourself an Xbox. That's it. That's
Yes,
the best gift.
Yes, and I'm sure that Microsoft already has the check in the mail to you for that statement. So, yes.
Well, I mean, they're giving him his check today because he's at work right now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, once again, I want to give a shout out to Ubisoft. Special thanks to everybody that I met over there, as well as the colleagues that I have that I work with in this industry. It's a great event to be a part of, and I look forward to talking about that in the future. I want to give a shout out to a few our Patreon supporters, as always. Anybody that was watching the show live today, I did see Miguel in the chat, so I want to give him a shout out. But if you're watching live or later, we appreciate your continued support. And Gary, the floor is now yours for shout outs.
Yeah, so I want to shout out a few Patreon people.
That's, Francisco Aguilar.
Oh.
And
yeah,
Fergus Mills. And I don't know who else.
Yeah, well, thanks for saying Mauricio Aguilar's name, because I always mess that up apparently. So.
Oh yeah, Mauricio, not Francisco.
Oh, whoa, ouch.
Yeah, so there's M. Collins, there's Mauricio Aguilar, Himdil, Fergus Mills, Miguel, Antonio Rogers, and Sean Gority. So big thanks to all those people for their continued support. Big shout out
and Randy Ledette Jr.
Yeah, Randy Ledette Jr. too. He one of the founders of the site. He put the money into the site and everything. So always a huge shout out to him. And big shouts to Miguel for joining us in the chat and participating in the conversation. And Victor Alistine too. He was there. And
shout outs to Dana.
Yeah, shouts to Dana.
I like that movie podcast for real though. It's that entertaining.
That's good. Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, and I believe they're gonna record another episode of that in a couple hours or something. So yeah, that's cool.
I don't know. It might not, maybe not a couple hours, but it's gonna happen soon. Yeah, like real soon.
Cool.
Shout out to TLC.
Yeah, we will be watching that tonight. So
I won't.
Absolutely. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our show for today. So thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you all next week.
Peace.